And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello to everyone. It is our latest edition of the Weighing In podcast where my man Josh Thompson is coming to you live from Lake Tahoe in some bedroom somewhere. I don't know. It's not even a studio. I don't know what he's doing. But we got a lot to talk about as far as the UFC in Paris happened. It was a great show with a lot of great fights. We're going to talk about those, some of the things that are coming up, all kinds of happenings in the world of MMA, my man. I saw you were golfing. You're just out there just partying. You retired bastard, you.
Crushing the ball. I love being retired. It's so nice. That was crushing the golf ball yesterday because obviously at altitude the ball flies a little bit further.
Just a little bit.
But I don't want to take away from my power, as you guys can see.
There
I
it
was
is. Now
born with
power,
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was one of those great mornings. We were the first to tee off. It was me and my brother. And had some great shots, man. I had some fuck up shots. there was a lot of fuckery going on.
That is what happens in golf.
Gosh, I hated it. I hit two drives, I would say probably close to 300, maybe 310. They got plugged. So I could have got another 20, maybe 30 yards out of it had they not plugged. So, but then it didn't matter anyways. My second shots.
See, it's all about you drive for show, but you putt and pitch for dough, baby.
I couldn't get out of my own way yesterday. It was so embarrassing. I had some great drives and they pulled them out. I was like, okay, I'm only about 70 yards away. Yeah, no bueno. No, It was so bad. So overall, though, the weather here is really nice. It's hot here. Yesterday by 9 a.m., it was about 91, 93, somewhere around there. Yeah, it was hot. So, but it's been nice, man. It's been great. So family's all up here, having a great time. All my little nephews, nieces and nephews all running around, playing on the golf course, because we're right out here on the golf course. So where we're staying is the golf course is the backyard. So after 4:00, the kids are out there just playing. We're all playing football and catch and whatever on the golf course. So, cause there's no one out there. So it's been nice. It's been great. Barbecuing up the storm.
Oh,
love it. Just nothing but just barbecue. So thankful for this, Labor Day weekend and, blessed that we, live in such a wonderful country
and able to take advantage of it.
Exactly. So, let's talk about the fights. Go ahead and get me started. I don't have a screen today to see, what the fights are all about, but I did watch the fights.
I think we got to start off at the top of the card there with Ciryl Gane versus Tai Tuivasa. I loved the fight. I thought Tai Tuivasa came out there to win. He came out there slinging the way he could. Again, Ciryl Gane very difficult to touch. And, Tai missed a lot of shots on him, but, when he got that chance in that second round, he put him on his butt. He got his attention. There was, a lot going on in that fight, and it was, a lot of gamesmanship, a lot of, you saw the feints and everything. But Ciryl Gane, for a big man, moves so well. In and out, very difficult. He's got a beautiful jab, and that look at the teep up the middle. It was the difference maker, and you used to use that a lot in your career. I have had that happen to me many times in sparring, and I don't like it because it sucks. It's like someone taking it's almost like someone taking a cue from pool and it's just jabbing you in the gut repeatedly, and it just after a while you can't even tighten up. It's just a bitch, and so. As that was happening, I was feeling for Tai. I was going, man, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. Oh, that sucks. And, Ciryl did exactly what he was supposed to do. He kept going right back to the same spot. But what a fight. I mean, it had it all. It had some drama. It had Tai actually faking like he was hurt at a certain point to try to land the big shot as Ciryl came in. It just had it all. I thought it was a fun fight. It showed the difference between a guy who is very technical and good with his movement and distance control and a guy who is the brawler and has to suck you into his game. And a couple of times, Tai kind of did suck him into that. And so it made for a really fun fight, in my opinion.
All right, this show is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. Look, there were some great fights this weekend in France. We had some fantastic performances by Tai Tuivasa and, of course, Ciryl Gane, who had a great performance, great on his feet, in big trouble in the second round. But, John, there was some money to be made at MyBookie.ag. Use our promo code weighing in. That little QR code right there that Podcast Dave is going to put up. Click on that. You get some money for your first initial buy-in with our promo code weighing in. Go to MyBookie.ag. Pete Sell, Scott Smith.
Yeah. Very similar. I love that fight.
Very similar. I mean, except Scott Smith was really hurt.
I'm glad. Yes, he was.
He was really hurt.
So was Ty.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I have no complaints. I loved the action from beginning to end. I thought a lot of people overlooked Tai Tuivasa. We talked about him on this show last week. I said, look, he's got an uphill battle. There's no doubt about it. When you're dealing with someone who is as athletic as Ciryl Gane, the movement, the way he which is so crazy to me, John. When I look at him, the way he bounces on his feet, you're like, you look like a bantamweight.
He looks like a
the way
lightweight.
he moves around. Yeah, he just bounces around. I mean, he looks so light on his feet. He possesses power. His jab is super fast. That was the biggest problem last night.
Yeah,
I know
the speed was a big problem.
The speed was a problem, but the jab was really frustrating Tai Tuivasa. And then after that, it became the push kicks. So what you do is with push kicks, I utilize the push kick as more of a jab because I didn't like to get hit. So I utilized the longer version of the jab. Then I went back to the jab, and you come back in with the push kick. You're mixing it up. Ciryl Gane, he was fully aware of. He had the speed advantage. He was more athletic. He did such great work last night, John, all the way around. I mean, it wasn't just that. Even when he got dropped in the second round, he was able to clinch, hold. He fought very smart last night. He had a very high fight IQ. I was very impressed with his performance all the way around. Also, even though Tai lost, I don't think there's one fan that he lost. I think in France, worldwide, everyone that was watching, they were thinking to themselves, this son of a bitch is a motherfucker. We love him. Like that's what I was thinking when I'm watching this. I was thinking to myself, this kid's so damn tough and so good and so confident. And even what was it? I think it was in the second, or was it the second or the third round? He's telling the crowd to get on their feet, and he's getting peppered. And it was amazing to watch. I love fighters like that. I will tune in and look. I'm going to be 100% honest, you guys. I don't pay for one damn pay-per-view. I stream it always illegally because that's who I am. Okay? And when it comes down to it,
I pay for everyone.
I swear to God, I will pay to watch that guy fight. He is fantastic. There's certain fighters that you will pay to watch fight. Nick and Nate Diaz is one of them. Okay, Tai Tuivasa is one of them. I mean, there are fighters on the list that I will pay. I will pay to always watch, Masvidal. I used to pay to watch Gilbert fight when he was fighting. There's certain fighters that I will always pay to watch. And honestly, Robert Whittaker's one of them now, honestly, after that whole performance last night. We'll get into him in a little bit, but I want to give Tai Tuivasa and Ciryl Gane their dues, man. Great performances last night.
Unbelievable as far as, and the one thing that you're talking about, with Tai is, a lot of guys will go in there and they'll take shots to the point where it's like, I can't beat this guy. And look at that goes through your head. When you're having a hard time hitting the guy and he keeps on peppering you and he's hurting you, it goes through your head, shit, I can't beat this guy. Dude, the shot that he took near the end in the stand-up, you take a look at how flush that thing hit him. Yeah, it definitely hurt him. He still didn't go down.
Yeah.
He did not go down off of that shot. And I was amazed when I saw the way his head torqued off of that shot and he was able to stay on his feet. The dude's got a chin. Man, he is tough as hell. Again, you can't take anything from Ciryl Gane. That's why he's number one. He belongs where he's at. The guy is just a beautiful fighter as far as his ability to control the distance, control the range, land shots, not really get hit a lot, although he took the one big shot. But as soon as he popped to his feet, right into the clinch, you saw, Tai was trying to get rid of him, couldn't get rid of him right away. Smart fighting by Ciryl Gane. I enjoyed just the entire fight. I thought it was fun to watch. I thought it was two different approaches to the fight game. We talked about that, but they showed how in that different approach, how you could be successful against the other at certain times. And that's what made for a really interesting fight.
Yeah, Ciryl Gane had all the abilities to make it a boring fight, which he didn't. There was moments in there, I'm sure his corner was screaming at him, don't get into the slug match, don't trade. Like they were thinking to themselves, that's the only way you lose this fight. Don't exactly do that. It. But he went out there and he really tested the limits. I was very impressed, man, because John, last week I sat on this show and I said, this guy is dealing with so much stress.
A lot of pressure.
You've got family, you've got friends, you've got everybody under the sun. People you haven't talked to in 5 to 10 years hitting you up for tickets. You've got them all, man, and they're all there, just basically bugging the shit out of you. A week to 2 weeks before the fight, going, "Hey, where can I get some tickets? Where do I get them?" Dude, go to Ticketmaster. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? But all the pressure of being the main event, big performance, first show in France for the UFC, as we pointed out last week, or you pointed out last week. It really comes down to the fact that there was so much stress and so much weight on Ciryl Gane's shoulders to perform, and he delivered. It's not the easiest thing to do, man, and people need to give. A lot of us need to give a lot of credit to Ciryl Gane for such a great performance, and not just him, but Tai. Tai went in there as an underdog, went in there as the bad guy, the evil villain, basically someone to come in there and to be the upset, and he fought his ass off. He is a performer. He is someone that really dedicated himself to winning that fight. Some fighters, like you said, John, when they start realizing that they're losing, they just lay down and they fold, or they just wilt under the pressure and just, it's not my time, and they start accepting that. No different than what Dean Thomas was talking about with Leon Edwards, when he started to just look like he was wilting and falling under the pressure. Very similar to something that Tai Tuivasa would have had to deal with, because he's dealing with the crowd that's obviously 100% behind,
there may have been one person from Australia.
Yeah, maybe two, two. But you know what I mean? Like, it was,
absolutely.
It's not the easiest thing to deal with.
No,
it really
tough.
isn't. Came into uncharted territories, into enemy grounds, and really delivered a great performance. It didn't go his way, but man, John, I really, really enjoyed that fight from beginning to end. It was a great performance by both fighters, and like I said, I will always pay. I will always pay. Okay, the key word is pay. I will pay to watch Tai Tuivasa fight every single time.
Me too. Love the guy.
So, absolutely amazing.
Robert Whittaker taking on Marvin Vettori. This is, you looked at it and you go, hey, man, both outstanding in the middleweight division. It's just that, and Robert Whittaker is in that position where, people talk about, Colby Covington and, Kamaru Usman, when that whole thing was going, if it wasn't for Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington would be the champion. Maybe, there's a good possibility, but I'll tell you what, if there was not this guy named Israel Adesanya, Robert Whittaker would still be the champion of the middleweight division. He's a step ahead of everybody else there is, except for Izzy. I want to talk to you about one of our favorite sponsors. It is Fume. F-U-M. Fume is for you. If you're a smoker, you're a vapor, you are someone that has that type of habit and you want to get back to being healthy, get off of that horrible cigarette or vaping habit that you have, Fume is the product for you. This prominent right here, you're going to take an essential core. You put that core, which is essential oils, on that core, and you can use this Fume prominent anywhere. You can use it while you're driving with your kids. You can use it if you're traveling. No matter if it's on a train, on a plane, Fume is the way for you to continue with that hand-to-mouth habit, but not with the nasty results of what cigarettes or vaping will do for you. Fume is an outstanding product. I want you to go to Breathe Fume, and Fume does not have an E, F-U-M. weighing in. Use the weighing in code for your 10% off on your first purchase. Fume is something that will help you become a healthier person. I believe in it. Josh believes in it. The Weighing In podcast stands behind Fume. Please, if you're a smoker, you're a vapor, go to Fume, use this, get healthy. He put on a beautiful performance. I thought very controlled, very regulated. He took the first round to figure out the distance and exactly how he could counter what Vettori was going to come at him with. And then from about halfway through the first round, he just took that fight over. And he took it over based upon fight IQ, understanding, here's where my, strength lies, and here's what he's doing. This is what I can do. And then just setting forth and going after it. Dude, he hit Vettori with some big shots, and he hit him with a ton of volume too. And so, I mean, I give it to Vettori. Super tough. As always, he has shown that throughout his career in the UFC. He just doesn't have the full game that he needs to be able to beat Robert Whittaker, and I think that showed in that fight.
You know what surprised me is that as Vettori's a southpaw, that he doesn't throw his rear leg head kick more often.
Yeah.
You would think by training at King's MMA or whatever it is, like he would have more of a fluidity in understanding. Sorry, guys. That rear leg head kick or that rear leg body kick is the biggest pain in the ass for every conventional fighter. Like anyone that stands normal, you're constantly thinking about that kick because there's so much power generated. Your hand's not normally up on that side as much as it normally is, when you're fighting another conventional fighter. I'm surprised that he didn't throw that kick more often. I think he threw it one time when I watched that fight. He threw it one time. And it just wasn't, he just, on the feet, he was completely outclassed, which is nuts to me because I know he's a good grappler. I know he's good in the aggression and the pace and all of those things. But you really need to evolve your stand-up if you're going to fight someone like Robert Whittaker. Switching your stance a little bit, maybe making him think, coming back to a normal, to your southpaw stance, and then throwing your combinations. He was one step behind the whole way. And I picked him as the dark horses we did on our 5 rounds main event last week.
Yeah.
And, you picked someone who wasn't the dark horse. I picked the actual dark horse. But, and I really thought that he had a chance. But it was very evident after about, I'd say 2.5, 3 minutes of the first round.
Yep.
The speed was going to be a factor. The technique was going to be a factor. Now, I thought also, too, when I looked at the Tai Tuivasa and Ciryl Gane fight, I'm like, man, Tai's going to get outclassed. He was a little bit outclassed, but he fought his ass off, was able to drop, Ciryl Gane. Vettori seems so much slower, so much like out of range. Whittaker was so much out of range. He was such a better technician.
That was the difference, I thought.
Yeah.
He could not break that range. He could not come inside of it. And even though, think about it, Whittaker was doing this, he kept dipping his head to his right. He would throw that and he would dip his head off the right. And I thought because of the southpaw that, boy, be careful, that kick's going to come up. He's going to time that. Was never able to do it. Was never in that position to be able to get that off.
So, like, there was a combination that I always use when I fought a southpaw. And when you fight a southpaw, like, the same thing goes for a southpaw when you're fighting someone who's conventional. Throw the body shot, the straight body shot, whether it's a right or left hand. For me, it was a right hand to the body, come back up top with a left hook, and then finish up with the rear head kick. Those type of combinations, they constantly are getting your opponent to go up and down. And they're not expecting that head kick on that side because they don't fight someone that's normally that direction. Now, Vettori, southpaws almost always have to fight right-handed people.
Yeah,
so he should
it.
know better.
Right.
He should know that rear leg head kick or that rear leg body kick, especially the body, because you knew Robert Whittaker was not going to try to take you down. He did at the end, the very end. But what he should have done was, he should have really tried to let that body kick go more often, because even if he did get taken down, he's the better grappler on the bottom. He's the better guy at getting up to his feet. Maybe not the better guy at getting up to his feet, but he's the better grappler, and he wanted the fight on the ground anyways. So he should have threw caution to the wind, like how Nino Schreiber used to do back in Pride. He would throw head kick after head kick after head, because he's like, go ahead, take me down. If I fall down, what do? Come into my guard? Go ahead. And
do you really, hold on, do you really think that Vettori's a better grappler than Whitaker, though?
Like jiu-jitsu wise, I believe so, yes.
I don't think
I think so. I think so. I think Vettori's a better grappler. I'm not saying that he would have been able to finish him from the bottom, but you wanted the fight on the ground anyways. And the potential of getting a sweep is a lot more, the potential of getting a sweep was probably more likely than him getting a takedown. I mean, John, let's be real. Like, there's a chance when you threaten a submission, you can get into a scramble where you potentially can get on top. Him trying to just shoot a normal takedown wasn't working.
I agree with you on that. I didn't see Vettori being able to take Whitaker down with a normal takedown.
Yeah.
I thought if he hit him with a shot, he could get on top of him, get him down that way. But in a normal wrestling exchange, he was not going to take him down. But no. I do not in any way think that he has a better grappling pedigree or game than Whitaker. I thought Whitaker has the advantage there.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I think that Vettori has the better, like, jiu-jitsu. Look, and when we're talking the top elite level of guys.
Sure.
One of them would have had to have made a mistake, or one of them would have had to, like, hit this in a position where they caught him in a scramble. I'm not saying that Vettori was going to go out there and, Charles Oliveira him, with triangle arm bars. Like, it wasn't going to happen like that. But I really believe that, yeah, even if he would have thrown the head kick and got taken down and was put on bottom, the potential to, like, get into a scramble, come up on a single leg, something like that to reverse position, I think was probably more likely than him shooting a normal double leg or a single leg against the fence. The days of getting takedowns against the fence, the days of pressing guys to the fence and getting those takedowns on the double leg, they're pretty much gone. They're gone. And so unless you have Olympic caliber wrestling abilities, or you have a long wingspan for certain guys that can lock their hands around someone that has their legs split wide against the fence. Those are the guys, man. Those are the guys that are able to still get takedowns against the fence. The rest of us normal people, okay, like us normal people, it's extremely hard. It's so crazy to believe that you can take guys like DC, Bo Nickel, Aaron Pico. Even now, those guys, they struggle. They struggle sometimes to get takedowns against people in their first initial takedown. It's that chain wrestling that gets them. Yeah. Chael Sonnen was one of the best guys, and I don't like to toot this guy's horn too much because he's got a big head already. But I love the guy, man. But when you look back at his fights, the one thing he did very well is when he was younger, not when he got older. But he was able to chain wrestle. He was someone that he knew he wasn't getting the double leg, but he'd bounce you off the fence, come back on the body lock, and then inside trip you or try to throw you or something along those lines. He was so good at chain wrestling. You go back and watch his first Anderson Silva fight. It was chain wrestling that got the takedowns. It wasn't just the double leg, against the fence, lift and take down. No. He would chain wrestle you from single leg to double leg, back to inside trip, and back to double leg to single leg, sit down, dump. He was fantastic all the way around. And that's one of the, when you go back in the history of our sport, you look at really what wrestlers are brought to the table. They've made every striker a better wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
And it's phenomenal to watch when you watch these guys that you knew, like Mirko Krokop you knew if you took him down, you could probably beat him. But then as he got better and better, his takedown defense got
not easy to take down at the end.
No. Yeah. And, right foot this and left foot cemetery kind of stuff. Like, yeah, that's
right leg hospital, left leg cemetery.
Just insane, right?
Love that.
I mean, that's one of the benefits of, having to fight guys is that I've noticed that the evolution of wrestling has really, really helped the sport because it's become a lot more exciting, learning how to stuff the initial takedown, sometimes even stuffing the second takedown. And that's really what we saw was Robert Whitaker was able to stuff every single takedown and make Marvin Vettori pay for every time he tried one. So I thought, throw that rear leg head kick, throw that rear leg body kick, and if he catches it and take you down, at least you have an opportunity with the submission on bottom, taking less damage, because he was getting peppered. The speed was a problem. Everything that Robert Whittaker did last night, he definitely, John, established that he's the number one guy in that weight class. The question is, where does he go from here?
Well, it is the question, because we were just talking about him moving up to possibly to light heavyweight, right? And after that performance, you look and you go, you can't move up to light heavyweight.
He's got to.
You can't.
I think he needs
You're
to.
the number one guy in the middleweights. How do you? Because if you really look at this, if as the UFC or, any of them, first off, you've got Israel fighting Alex coming up. Great fight. If Alex wins,
there you go. Yeah.
Boom. You're right there. Now, if Israel wins, if you're the UFC, maybe you're looking at, can I put him back? But his last fight, he actually fought a really good fight against Izzy. It was, Izzy won it, but it was close. And Robert had his, moments and stuff. I don't know. I just look at it and go, at this moment, I don't think you can move up to light heavyweight. I think you have to stay where you're at.
I think what he needs to do is he needs to wait to see who wins this fight. After that, there's really no one else. That's
the difference.
Yeah, that's where they fast tracked Pereira to fight him, is so they could say, hey, if Pereira wins, now Whittaker can slide in. But here's the thing, though, John. I believe that they're going to give Izzy the automatic rematch because he's established himself in that division. How Kamaru Usman's going to get the automatic rematch?
Okay.
You have certain fighters that deserve the automatic rematch. Izzy is going to potentially be one of them, which I believe, unless
I'd agree with that.
If he's losing,
unless he had the worst performance ever.
Yeah. Unless he's getting starched, even if he gets starched, but if he's dominating like how Usman was dominating, I don't know. I look at that UFC will give him an automatic rematch. So then you've got Whittaker waiting on the sideline for a while. Who else does he fight? All of those things come into play. Pereira, though, and Whittaker makes for a very fun fight because Pereira is got the power. I wouldn't say he's not as fast as Izzy. He's not as technical as Izzy. He's big as fuck. Holy shit. When you compare, when I saw the picture of him and Dominic Reyes last week, holy shit, he made Dominic Reyes look like an 85-pounder. Who's the 205-pounder in this picture? You would have thought it would. You would
have thought it was Alex.
He was 232, John, in that picture.
Yeah, they said he was 41 pounds. 41 pounds over.
Insane.
Being able to make that weight. The insane part is if you look at it, he's at 9.8% body fat. He ain't got a lot to lose, so he has to lose some muscle to be able to get down to that 185 limit.
That was like
he's got to hit. He's got to hit it right on the head too.
That was like me every time I fought. I had to lose a ton of muscle just so I could.
You have to lose one goddamn bit.
Cringing. Dave's cringing in the background. You can't see podcast Dave. He's just cringing.
That's all right, Dave. I'm cringing with you.
Oh, man. Haters. Painful. You guys are just salty. All
right, let's go with
my dad bod.
Let's go with another middleweight fight that was fun. And this is Nasruddin Imavov against Joaquin Buckley. This was a good fight.
John.
What?
John. We were texting back and forth. It was so great. Oh, I love it. I knew that because John and I were very high on Imavov. And it was great because I was texting him, oh man, Buckley won that first round. He's like, John's like, you're fucking kidding, right? And I was like,
have
no,
you lost
absolutely.
your fucking mind?
He fucking dominated. Buckley dominated that first round up until the point where he got taken down the last 30 seconds. He dominated. And I could see John's head just popping off of his shoulders. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
The fuck are you watching?
Good performances by both fighters, though. I got to be honest. I didn't give Buckley much of a chance. And it was very evident when you saw the two of them come in there because you have not Buckley, but Imavov and who was the other Russian guy? Krylov or who? I can't remember.
Which one? As far as in Paris?
Yes. Yeah. He
Magomedov.
was also on the card.
Magomedov.
No. There was Magomedov as well, but there was another one also. I think he was like a fight or two before Imavov. Dave, help me out here.
Kopylov.
Not Kopylov. It was
Roman
Kopylov.
Kopylov.
Okay. All three of them are tall, long, and lanky.
Yeah.
I mean, they are. I feel like they are a new evolution of the new Dagestani style wrestler. Because you look at a lot of these Dagestani wrestlers, some of them are short in stature, some of them, a lot of them are just straight wrestling. These guys have more of that Umar Nurmagomedov, that Taekwondo style stand up that's very mixed in, the side kicks, the push kicks, all those things, staying long with the combinations. But Imavov, I'm going to be honest, John, I expected more out of him, and I'm not saying that he had a bad performance. I expected him to get Buckley out of there because let's be honest, Buckley is a blown up 170 pounder. He's that tweener. He's the guy that's stuck in the middle. He's the one that if there was a 175 pound weight class, he'd probably be the champ there. He's
perfect for it.
He's good for that weight class. I mean, he's got good takedown defense. You saw it last night when in the fights. He's speed with the hands. He throws a little wide.
Strong.
He's got to throw. Yeah, he throws a little wide, but he throws wide so he could potentially try to reach them because he's the shorter guy. The reach in the range is going to be difficult for him when he's fighting these 185 pounders, and you could tell he was having to deal with that last night. But Imavov looked good. I expected him to get the finish. He didn't get it. That's why I was giving you a hard time because you and I were both high on him last week in the show. But he had a great performance, but it wasn't as good as I would have liked to have seen him, to be honest.
But I look at it, and this is, when you talk all the time about, man, a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Look where you're at. And now, you got all these people there now, and now you want to look good. And look, he was looking good, but he ran out of gas.
Yeah.
He got tired, and you could see that he got tired, and Buckley took advantage of it because Buckley, he's got a gas tank. For a guy that carries a lot of muscle, he does have a good gas tank. He stays, in the fights most of the time. And so by the end, in that third round, Imavov was in that position of, I'm exhausted here. And Buckley's coming after him hard and stuff. And so, I gave Buckley the last round. I thought he definitely won the third round. But you got to give it to Imavov as far as he did a beautiful job in the first and second. The one when Buckley decided for the takedown and ended up getting mounted right away. I go, that is not what you intended to do. I feel bad for him. But I look at it and go, hey, you're trying. I understand, you're trying to make something happen right now because things aren't going your way and everything. And as bad as, you can look at it and say, yes, Imavov won that fight. I don't take anything from Buckley in that fight. I love the way that he fought. And if I'm the UFC, man, I am so happy with this guy in that he comes to fight every time. And he puts on a show, man, and he's trying to win, and he doesn't give up, and he takes big shots, and he just keeps coming forward. And so, Buckley got an L by his name as far as in the records, but man, I don't think he lost anything as far as, people that who should be wanting to watch him fight because he's exciting. He is explosive. He'll pull off all kinds of crazy damn techniques and stuff. And man, he's a dog. He's got no quit in him. He comes after you, and he is trying to win from the beginning of that sucker to the end. So I really enjoyed the performance that Buckley put on.
It was very ill-advised to try to shoot a takedown at the end of the first because I'm like, what are you doing? And he just lunged in, got sprawled on, and got his back taken. I'm like, what are you doing? Or mounted. I mean, he I think if you guys go back and watch this fight, if you guys are listening to us right now and you're like, hey, go back and watch that fight, it's very difficult to do what Joaquin Buckley did last night. It's so tiring to throw that amount of heat, to lunge in from that far away, to try to cover that distance.
That's right.
Yeah, and to cover that distance, it's so difficult. It makes you exhausted. And then on top of that, you're getting pushed around by the bigger guy. So every time he missed, he had to recover faster because you put yourself out of position. And then you had to make sure you didn't get taken down because he wasn't the better wrestler. He fought an uphill battle from the very beginning. He fought a very good fight.
Yeah.
Like you said, John, I had him win in the third round as well. he had landed some clean shots. Imavov looked exhausted in that third round. There was moments where I was like, Buckley, throw a little bit more, do this, do that. But I just know deep down, I'm like, fuck, I've been there. So exhausted. You're like, damn, I feel for you, buddy. I feel for you.
I can't lift my arms.
I know. I mean, I never had the problem of not being able to lift my arms because I never had muscle. This guy's got a ton of it. It's like stacked on top of each other. So, I mean, Dave and I have the same problem. Like we're just twigs, toothpicks, no muscle. So, yeah. But overall, I think there was a lot of pressure on Imavov to perform. He's got to make sure that he's working on that. It's very rare that you see a lot of these guys from Dagestan get tired, and Imavov was tired, very tired. And so it was very eye-opening. I mean, I think there's ways now, like the groundwork is kind of inlaid, unless Imavov makes improvements in that cardio area. People are going to look and go, hey, I can push him. I can break him, and I can make him fight in an uncomfortable position, potentially get a knockout. And so he's got to make sure he fixes that because people are going to start recognizing that. All eyes are on these Dagestan for us fighters. They're trying to find any single way that they can beat him. So if you give them a little bit, the whole crew, these other fighters in that division are calling each other up going, yeah, he got tired. Yeah, they're sending DMs and texts to each other going, yeah, he's tired. I can break him at the end. He maybe doesn't have a lot of power. But he looked good in that first round. He looked good in that second round too. He just started hitting the win capacity towards the end of the second, and we saw a little bit of that twinkle of exhaustion in that end of the second round into the third for sure.
Yep. Saw just a little bit of break in the steel, man.
Yeah,
just a little bit. So had Roman Kopylov, as you were talking about, who I am now comparing to Chase Hooper. That is Chase Hooper's bigger brother. And do they not look alike?
Yeah.
They got the same hair, a little bit different nose.
But yeah. Who did he fight? How do you say his last name?
DiCirico.
DiCirico. There you go. Yeah. John, I expected a lot from Imavov because of all the hype around him. But what's this guy's name? Kopylov? Yeah, I expected more. There was a lot. I know he looked good. I know he had a dominant performance. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've trained with a lot of these Dagestan fighters. I expect them to be a little bit more dominant. I think a lot of people expect them to be more dominant, which I guess is not a fair assessment on my part.
No, it's not.
But fuck it, that's who I am.
It's you take a look and look. They all live off of being good wrestlers. Some like to, use their wrestling to take the fight to the ground. Some like to use the wrestling to keep the fight on the feet. He's a guy that likes to keep it on the feet. And for the most part, he had I want to say it was in the second round, he started to have some problems. He started to get hit and those shots hurt him and stuff. But when DiCirico was hitting him, he was lunging in. He was hitting him, but when you're putting yourself out of position, that's when, the counters can happen. And eventually DiCirico was too open and, Kopylov took care of it. But, he's still young in the, UFC, young in the sport and everything. He's got a ways to go, but you can take a look and say he's got some skills. Yeah.
I agree with you. He's got skills. I guess, like I said, I'm putting a lot of pressure on these young guys. They have a lot of room to grow. The bright lights do a lot to these young fighters. Doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what you've gone through when you were younger in terms of sambo fights, whatever it is. Obviously, those things help to the extreme, but nothing really prepares you for being under the bright lights in the UFC. Biggest show, first show that the UFC's ever had in France. That's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure there to be had.
Sure there is.
And you got to look at it too. A lot of these Russian fighters, they're still dealing with the Russian-Ukraine battle, the drama, all the traveling issues. Getting a visa, I'm sure, is not easy for these fighters. It's not fair to them. and because they have nothing to do with what goes on in their country, government wise. Yeah, government wise. So it's not up to them. It's not, they have no say in what goes on. It's just they have to deal with the circumstances, and they're getting a lot of, I'm sure, hate, as well as, you know, just the tension that they feel when they're walking around doing whatever it is they're doing, preparing for themselves to fight. And so we can't overlook that. That's a part that we need to make sure that we continue to look at and go, hey, these young guys, they're young. John, the drama that I had to deal with, you know, when I was younger, was nothing compared to some of what these guys are having to deal with because of what's going on in their countries. And you got to tip their hat to them. They're training. I mean, sometimes maybe their gyms are not set up. Maybe the areas that they go to train, you know, they can't travel because they don't have a visa. Maybe, you know, you look at certain fighters, they're not able to get back in the country, or they're not able to travel, you know, here in the States because of what's going on. And, you know, there's a lot of things that go on. Like, you know, like the UFC, even Bellator got rid of, you can't show your flag. You know, we're not putting the flag up anymore when we do the tail of the tape, you know, and that's a lot that goes through a fighter's mind, especially at 23, 24. You're like, fuck, I'm just here to fight, man. Yeah. And so, I put a lot of pressure on these young guys to perform because there's a lot of hype around them, but you have to think of all the outside, things that they're dealing with before they walk into that cage. So I tip my hat, man. Great performance, great job, had a great fight, looked dominant. Like you said, struggled a little bit, but he found his way through and dealt with the adversity and came out with the win. Great job.
Yep. Another guy that actually, you know, had a lot of pressure on him was Mr. William Gomez, who I told you I had watched him before, but I had never seen his opponent in Aaron's. And it was the one thing when I watched Gomez before, I was surprised at how much physically stronger he was than the opponent that he was fighting. Again, because he doesn't look that strong. And it was evident that he was much stronger. He was physically moving this guy around and stuff at times when he would get into the clinch. And I was like, wow, the guy's a lot stronger than he looks. And he showed it again in this fight because he physically just outstrengthened Aaron's at times. I think Aaron's is actually the more technical stand-up fighter. He kept getting put into positions where he was getting in the clinch, got taken down, and he lost the fight on the ground. And so nice job by Gomez in front of his crowd and stuff. He went out there and put on a good performance, got a win. You know, he's got a long ways to go. There's a lot of things that he needs to change up. He brings his feet way too close together at times. He does a lot of things that you look and you go, you got to change that. You got to change that. Same thing I saw before, but man, physically, the dude is a lot stronger than he looks, man. And because physically, he just dominates people.
It's so weird because when I was watching that fight, John, it was exactly how, like, when you and I wrestled inside the cage, how I took you down nonstop, just like physically dominated you, strength-wise.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Yeah,
it was so crazy. Yeah. I'm glad we got it on footage. I'm sure we get it from Nordy.
We do have it on footage.
Yeah, it was one of the easy. Like, it was so crazy. I expected
we're gonna bring that
thing stronger. I expected you to be so much stronger. It was so funny how I was able just to fling you around. No, you're right. Gomez made it look easy. Every time he got to the body lock, just flung him down. Even when there was scrambles and throws and this and that, he found his way on top. There was a couple good things that his opponent did in terms of like the hip toss.
Yeah, he tried for the hip toss.
Yeah, then he got rolled through on that, but there was one where he got a takedown and able to roll through and get on top. What's his opponent's name? Aaron's?
Yeah.
Aaron, yeah, I guess apparently he's a judo guy.
Yeah,
but he had some good hip tosses. He had some good throws, good little roll throughs, like where he got thrown himself or got taken down and was able to roll through to the top position. But Gomez looked good. He looked fast. He looked like he had power on the feet. Extremely unorthodox in terms of his combinations.
Yep.
But I agree with you, John. It was a good performance, great performance. A lot of stress, man. A lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Being able to get the performance. Well. A lot of these French fighters, and it's funny because Bellator's already done a show there in France. We've already done our show there because we were the first big show to do there. But anyways, it was
not
just,
according to the broadcast that I listened to yesterday.
No. But no, I'm simply saying that there's a lot of pressure for these fighters to perform in front of their people, their country, their countrymen, women, all those things. A lot of pressure. So you should expect, I expected a lot of adrenaline dumps. I expected a lot of highs and lows for a lot of these fighters because it was, I'm so pumped. I'm ready. They probably warmed up so well in the back that they were done. They left their fight in the back room. And that's happened. That's happened sometimes for these fighters. You know, they get there and they're just so amped up, so ready to go. They can't stop moving. They can't stop. They just want to keep going. They can't wait to get in the cage. And they get out in the cage and they're like 2 minutes in, they're like, fuck, I left my fight in the back. Like I left it on the mitts in the back room. But they fought their asses off. All of these French fighters fought their asses off. A lot of them had great performances. But a great job by Gomez.
Let's talk about an Englishman who had an unbelievable performance, in my opinion, which was Nathaniel Wood, who came from the bantamweights. And I honestly thought, looking at this fight against Charles Jourdain, I would go, man, I know Nathaniel Wood's good, but he's moving up from bantamweight. I'm not sure that his power is going to equate the same. And he's taken on a stud in the featherweights, man. I don't know if this is a good fight for him. I was wrong.
You were very wrong.
Man, did he freaking look fantastic. And he had power. He hurt Jourdain. One of Jourdain's biggest problems in this fight, in my opinion, Josh, was his ego. He likes to break people. He likes to make it to where they start to wilt under his pressure. And he ended up fighting Nathaniel Wood's fight. He started to fight it in a phone booth. He took away his own kicks. He took away some of his weapons, and he started, just digging to the body at times. Nice because, Woods brings his hands up high, but he took big shots, and those big shots just started to diminish him throughout the fight to the point where he was a hurt fighter near the end of that fight. He was, fighting on balls and bravery. But, man, Nathaniel Wood just looked fantastic.
John, I feel like it was a little bit of the ego. I agree with you. But it was a lot, to me, it was the fight IQ. Like, literally, you let your ego get involved, so your fight IQ went out the door. And it was, and what killed me the most was there was no adjustment from his corner. Like, you're getting hit with the Josh Thompson foot sweep left and right. And it was so frustrating. I'm like, stop being so close to him. That takedown is the easiest takedown in MMA. I've taken DC down with it, Deron Wynn down with it. I've taken Olympic medalists. I've taken all of these guys down with that little foot sweep. It is the easiest takedown to get because they're in front of you thinking you're going to punch them when in fact, you're really just grabbing their head and sweeping their leg. Like straight out of Karate Kid stuff. And
sweep the leg.
There's no threat. There's no danger. If you don't get it, you don't get it. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
big deal.
You don't get it.
And you didn't use a whole lot of energy in trying.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. Because you don't leave yourself out of position. You try it, you don't get it. Okay, cool. We're back to striking. But he was getting it left and right. And if anything, what it does, it really throws the fighter off because they never are able to set their feet and throw power. And every time he tried to throw power, he was getting taken down or he was getting thrown off balance. He was losing his footing. It really just came down to the fight IQ. And I blame a lot of it on the corner. Tell your fighter, stay out of the clinch. Stay out of the body stock. Don't get in that phone booth. That's when he's doing it.
Yeah.
That's when you're able to hit that combination. That it was like he would hit him boom, 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 and then hit the sweep. Couldn't get it, go back to combination, try to hit it again. He was making it look so easy. I was jealous because mine were never that easy. Yeah. And but it was one of my favorite takedowns, man. I love that takedown. It's there all day long, especially if you can get someone to fight as dumb as Jourdain fought, where you just stand directly in front of them, think you're going to clinch them, put head to head, put your foreheads to foreheads, and just throw and box. He took away all the excitement that he normally delivers because he took himself out of kicking range. Mix up your combinations. Do all the things that brought you to the big dance. He didn't do it. I was really, to be honest, I was frustrated watching the fight. I was impressed with Nathaniel Wood. Nathaniel Wood deserved all the praise, all the things that the commentary was talking about him. He fought a great fight. He fought smart. He did what was in his wheelhouse. He made Jourdain fight his style of fight. He fought a great fight. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm pumped to watch him fight again. I'm like you, John. You and I sat on this show last week in the midweek show. We said, damn, Jourdain's gonna have. He's fighting here. Like this is a moment to shine. I know he's French Canadian, but it still was one of those moments. He could have stole the moment, and he didn't. He got outworked. He got out hustled. He got all those things. When you get to the upper level of fighters, John, you know this. When you get to the upper level of fighters, the cardio is not going to be enough. You can't just think you're going to break these fighters. These fighters are tried and tested, and they understand what it takes to get through that third round, to dig deep, to take the shots, to push back. He ran into Wood last night to the Wood. He ran into Nathaniel Wood, and it was. I don't think he expected that. Like, see, certain guys like with Shane Burgos, he's such a big guy. He cuts so much weight. You could potentially do that to him. You could try to slow him down in the third. But when you get to other guys at bantamweights, they're used to going at a fast pace. They're used to, and then you bring him up to featherweight where he doesn't have to cut weight. He's like, I got this. Now maybe he had to deal with. He was maybe a little concerned with the power of a 45-pounder. Maybe he was concerned with, whatever it was, the body size, all those things. But he fixed that. He figured that out within the first 2.5 minutes. He's like, oh no, I got this. I can do this. He fought a great fight. Nathaniel Wood deserves all the respect, all the praise, all the things that we're giving him right now. Great job.
Yeah,
great job.
His body work during that fight, everything he did, you look and you go, man, well thought out. Fought smart, made his opponent fight the fight that he wanted to fight. That's why he walked away with the win, and that was a big win, because I'm being honest. Coming up and from bantamweight, I thought that's too much of a fight in the beginning for you to take. I didn't think he was going to win that one. Man, he proved me wrong. So congratulations, Nathaniel Wood. That was a great performance. The fastest fight of the night. Unbelievable. Abus Magomedov against Dustin Stolfitz. Man, what do you say? Good night.
Nothing. Yeah. It just looked good. I mean, there's not enough to get from it to be say like, oh, he could be this great. I mean, obviously, look, anytime you have the last name Magomedov, you just, I think fighters are like, shit, I'm matched up against this guy. Damn
against a Magomed.
Yeah. So, good performance, great push kick up the middle. What I loved is how patient he was with the uppercut. So he tracked after him. He waited to set his shot and then went boom, boom through the combination. Landed cleanly, got the fight out of there. Great job. You'll find that a lot of young fighters, what they'll do is they'll rush it. Who was the Mighty Mouse? We watched on One FC last weekend. And we were talking about Mighty Mouse on what he rocked Moraes. He hit him. He rocked him. When he did that, he came after him and he set up the knee. Just tracked after him and then boom, knee right up the middle. He waited until the back hit the fence and then he delivered the knee when he knew he had nowhere to go. Very similar in this situation. He waited for his opponent to back up, almost put his back to the fence, and then he knew that probably he was going to shoot a takedown because he was hurt, as well as putting pressure on him. He was rocked, came up, uppercut, shot, boom, boom. Great job. Great performance.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to sit here and talk more about it. It's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Pretty explosive, and you got to give him credit. He looked fantastic. Can't wait to watch him again.
It was about as fast as when I took you down and dominated you that one time in the cage. No video footage. I'm gonna have to release that video footage.
I'm definitely gonna release that video.
I'm gonna have to release that video footage.
World champion, my ass. Woo!
That was a low blow, by the way.
That was a low blow. All right. If there was one that I was actually disappointed in, it was Nasrat Haqparast against John Makdessi, and this is the reason why. Is like going into this fight, I thought that Nasrat was too fast. And nothing against Makdessi, but Makdessi's been around a long time. Tough as hell, but not super fast. And I think that I always thought that the hands of Nasrat were very fast. And this is one where I look at Nasrat and I go, you could have done more. You played it safe. You realize that, I can just sit here and touch him up and point him to death and I'll get my win. And yes, you did. But in this fight, I honestly think you could have pushed more and possibly gotten him out of there. maybe it wouldn't have happened, but I really looked and go, the speed difference, it was huge in this. You've got power in your hands. Sometimes I understand I just need to get the win because he had the previous loss and stuff, against Hooker and stuff, but I really thought that he would have performed, I don't want to say better because he got the win, but would have performed trying to finish instead of just trying to outpoint somebody.
John, I believe he's coming off 2 losses.
I don't know, is it 2?
Dave, can you look it up?
I thought he won his last one. I think he lost to Hooker. I think
he's coming off 2 losses.
Wrong guy.
No, Nasrat, he's coming off a win.
No. Two losses. Bobby
Two
Green.
losses.
No, Bobby Green, yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming off 2 losses.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Fighters don't fight the same way when they're worried about getting a win. 3 losses in a row. I got to be honest. I'd never lost 3 fights in a row. I'd never lost 2 fights in a row. When I lost 2 fights in a row, I lost 3 because it was in my mind. I was constantly thinking like, shit, if I lose again, what's going to happen? Shit, am I going to lose? Like, you're thinking about, are you going to get cut? Are you going to, are they going to start talking to you about, hey, like, now are you the gatekeeper? Like, there's a lot of things that go through your mind. For me, I was a different age. Like, he's still young, when I started losing like that. And so there's a lot of pressure that goes through fighters' minds on how they should fight the fight. He had to get the win. He had to perform that way. John, I'm not going to hold it against him.
No,
he came out with a
I
W.
understand.
Why put yourself in that dogfight when you're dealing with someone like McDessie, who, look, he's not the fastest, he's not the most powerful, but he's tricky. The spinning back fist, the spinning back elbows, he threw that quite a bit. He was trying to do little tricky things. Like, you don't want to get stuck in a dogfight and all of a sudden get knocked out and be like, shit, I was fucking winning that fight. I was stupid. Because he was picking them apart. He was able to touch them at ease. The jab was there. The speed was there. All of those things were there. I would have liked to have seen him try to utilize his wrestling a tiny bit more. At least make it a little bit more of a threat. But I mean,
why?
He was touching him. Well, because McDessie on his back, there's no threat whatsoever. On the feet, there was minimal threat, but there's still a threat. On his back, there's no threat. And I'm not saying that he needed to force the takedowns or push them as much, but there was opportunities. They were so easy to get, and he didn't do it. And so I would have liked to have seen that. I mean, control the top position. It would have slowed the pace of the fight down a little bit more as well, but it wouldn't have made John happy. But I also look at the fighters, man. He's dealing with a lot of emotions going, I need this win. I need this win. That's a lot of stress. Fighters, you have to remove yourself from, I want to see this guy. He should have knocked him out. Sometimes I myself, have to take a step back and go, fuck, man, you've been in there. You understand all the mind things that are going through his mind right now. You understand he's dealing with a lot of pressure. I don't know if he's got kids. I don't know if he has a wife. I don't know if he, what he's supporting and what his debt is or what he
now
is.
we're going
I'm
into
being
debt?
honest. I'm just being honest. There's a lot of things that go into fighters. Like, if you don't fight often, your money only comes when you're fighting. So where is he financially? All those things. I may lose 3 in a row. I may get cut. There's a lot that goes through these fighters' minds. So I'm gonna give him a little bit of a nod. I'm gonna say, hey, great job, great W. You got the win. You're back on track. Let's see a little bit better performance in the next fight, which I think we will. He's still young, and he's very marketable. He's a fun fighter. So I'm not going to knock you as much as Big John did. So Nasrat, got a lot of love for you. Good job, man. Good win. John just throwing shade and salt everywhere. Just
I'm not throwing shade. I just look. He's a good fighter.
He is,
and he does have good hands, and he's fast. And I just looked at it and go, man, you could have gotten rid of this. But I agree with you. Probably 2 losses in a row makes a big difference, and so it's all about getting the win. First, Ziam against Figlet. Ziam looked fantastic. I watched him in his first fight. Completely, just leveled up in every factor. His wrestling was better. His stand-up was better. Everything. Figlack was the guy that coming out of Cage Warriors, supposedly had never lost a round and stuff. Good fighter, tough guy. Definitely lost rounds in this one.
Yeah.
And just got beat by a better fighter.
Yeah.
not that Figlak cannot, come back and prove and, show the next time that he's the better guy, but you got to give it to Zion, man. Obviously, he went out there is it Killcliff or is it Sanford or is it whatever? But went out there, worked his ass off, and put on a great performance. Yeah,
good job, nicely done. Tall, long, and lanky, just did a great job. Great fight, great performance. He did everything he was supposed to do. That's what you want to see from your young prospects. Coming in, having a dominant performance. I mean, that's what you want to see from these guys. And if you're the UFC, you're going, like, you ever seen that meme with the guy behind the tree going, yeah. He's like, they're looking for fighters from at least one good fighter from every country. Oh, yeah. But this was a good performance by, how do you say his name? Ziam. Great job by him. So good stuff. Yeah. Nice work.
All right. Benoit St. Denis went out there against Gabriel Miranda, and I tell you what, that's his second win now in a row coming off of that nasty beating that he took in his first UFC fight. He looked good again. He was in a position where he was up against a guy that was probably a better grappler overall, better jiu-jitsu. He realized that. He created where the fight was going to be. He made it in the stand-up. And, big shots, just kept putting those shots on his opponent until, beat him down. And that's what he did. He just beat him down. And you're talking about a young fighter who you're looking at, again, for the UFC. Man, you're looking at this guy and you go, you can build this guy into somebody in the lightweight division. He's tough. He has no, quit. That's obvious from what we saw when we first had him out there. He's got good hands. He's got a good ground game. He was able to go down on the ground with, a guy like Miranda who's, tricky, survived all the stuff that, Miranda was coming after him with. Tore his toe in half and still fucking
Dave's
came away with the
picture.
win. Yeah, it was a nice one, huh?
He's going to have to post that picture. That was disgusting. It was so gross. But there was a picture of his toe but then his foot on the ground. Underneath it was like a pool of blood. It looked like it was like an artwork. Like they set it up with like fake blood because it was so picture perfect. Yeah. But it was a great photo. Just disgusting. Great performance though by him. He looked fantastic. It looked fantastic.
He did. And this is one of those ones I always wonder how a guy that takes a beating the way he did in that one fight, how are they going to be when they come back? Look, he's come back strong, so he's proved me wrong as far as you take that kind of beating, you're not the same guy. He's tough. He's young. Luckily he is young, but man, I tell you what, tough dude.
John, I was very surprised how well you came back after I gave you the beating in that cage that day. I was surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
I was so
all the
surprised.
lumps that I had, it was incredible.
It was crazy. I was like, man, how is this guy? How was he able to walk the next day?
I was really surprised that you could do that much damage from underneath too.
It was super easy. Razor sharp elbows,
dude. Thank you.
Just boom, boom, boom. I had some Tony Ferguson elbows.
Is that what it was?
Bam, bam,
bam, bam, bam.
Is there any other fights on this? Yeah, that's exactly what I remember. Maybe I was concussed. Who knows? What other fights on this card do you want to talk about?
You got to give it to Christian Gutierrez. Man, came out. I thought it was a little bit fast, maybe of a stoppage, but came out, really looked sharp on the feet. And then my cheating girl came back. She didn't have to cheat this time. She got a good win.
John, when you said early stoppage, and I want to keep going back to the refs. We've had these conversations. I've talked. Look, yeah. I don't just talk to John about this stuff because John's very biased and John's always right. We get this, yeah. Wow. But I talk to all the other refs. I want to know, hey, that was an early stoppage. As from a fighter's perspective, and they're like, no. Look, we're early in the prelims. These guys are young in their career. Majority of them are like 22, 24, 25. They have the potential to have a long career. I'd rather stop the fight early now and save their career than watch them go face down, ass up and ruin their career. And that makes complete sense to me on on what the refs are looking at. You said early stoppage. Do you think it was early stoppage?
This one was a little bit
given those circumstances.
like he got. Hey, I'm going to say this. I don't think the fight was going to change, so I have no problem with the stoppage.
But see, that's what the refs are talking about.
No matter what, well, and this is no matter what, that fight wasn't going to change. Yeah. So I don't have any problem with the stoppage. But I had people that were texting me going, "That was an early stoppage," and so you look at it, you go, "Okay, yeah, you could say, could he have let it go a little bit longer? Sure, he could have, but it wasn't going to change anything."
Yeah. That was the conversation. I was like, you could have let it go, for one or two more shots. They're like, why? Why would I let that guy take two more shots and potentially like be wheeled out of here in a stretcher because I let him take two more shots? Like you said, it wasn't going to change.
It wasn't going to change.
The fight wasn't going to go any different. It was going to just get worse for him. So why? So when I hear that from refs going, and this thing, a lot of it has to do with the research that they do on the fighters.
Sure.
Don't think that the refs just walk in like, oh, I don't know who that guy is. They know who these fighters are, and they go
there
back
are
and
dummies that do.
Yeah. So
we won't talk about them.
They know who those fighters are. They do the research on them. They know whether they can take a shot or not. They know where they're good at. Like, okay, look, if this guy gets this fight to the ground, there's a good chance that he's going to probably get this finish. Or, if he can't get it to the ground, there's a good chance he's going to get knocked out on the feet. They are prepared for what to expect when they're in there. They don't just walk in there and go, okay, fighter A, fighter B, okay, let's see what happens. They don't do that. Majority of the good refs don't do that. And, you've got, a lot of these refs, they understand who these fighters are and they know what they can take and what they can't take. And when they're young, don't allow them to take a lot of damage, which is smart. Big lights, bright lights under the, on the big stage, that kind of thing. There's no reason for them to get starched. Let them potentially have a long career, which is good. So,
yep.
Good stuff.
But outstanding show by the UFC in their first tour to Paris.
It won't be the last.
They put on a really good show. It will definitely not be the last.
John, when we did Bellator there, it was a sold out arena. They sold out
arena.
Sold out same arena. Yep. They sold out a couple weeks before. It was fantastic. The crowd was insane for their French people. It was their French fighters. They fucking were insane. But even the fights that weren't people that weren't from France, they were fantastic, man. Anytime there was action, anytime there was something, they were great. I'm so pumped. I hope we end up going back. I hope Bellator goes back there because John, this is the first time I've been to France and I actually enjoyed it. Because I've been to France before and I fucking hated it. People were rude.
You enjoyed it because I was there with you and we were riding Lime bikes throughout the city.
Lime bikes everywhere. It was the greatest ever. We had so much fun. It was great. Yeah. People are like, oh yeah, we're going to go to the Eiffel Tower. We're going to walk. I'm like, fuck that. We're taking a lime bike, baby. It was so fun. Oh, it was great. We had a great time. Yeah. All right. Podcast day. That's going to wrap up our talk for the UFC. Podcast day. What do you got for us in news?
All right, so for some news, last week we did the 5-hour main event show. We did the tail of the tape on Sean Strickland and Jared Cannonier. However, right as we were about to start guessing on that show, I got news that Sean Strickland had been pulled off the card with a finger injury. And then I'm also heard Dana White say that the fight's probably scrapped now, so they're probably going to replace that whole fight. So Sean Strickland is out with a finger injury.
Okay,
that's unfortunate because I thought that was going to be actually a fun fight. Both guys have power. Both guys like to be in the stand up for the most part. Yeah, but they'll be able to redo it. Sean will get his finger taken care of. He'll come back and they're going to rebook that fight. It's just be at a later date.
You know what the fight I want to see? I want to see Paulo Costa versus Strickland. The two of them.
I'd like
running into a wall.
I'd like to see Paulo Costa versus Cannonier.
That's true. I can see that too.
It's a good one too.
Look, Strickland will be back. It's a finger. Calm down, guys. It's not like it's amputated. He'll be back.
Even if it was. It's a finger.
Yeah, I mean, that should be a fun fight. Strickland coming off of the loss to Pahea, getting knocked out. Nasty knockout. I want to know if he's going to be the same guy. Is he still just sparring? Is he still, what's he doing? Is he
He's sparring the same way as he was in the past. He is the same guy.
He was training with Chimaev.
Well, Chimaev and Till were at Extreme Couture for a little bit, and he was training with them. Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that go in and out through Vegas. They're based upon going to the PI and things like that for the UFC, and then
there's a lot of guys that go in and out in Vegas.
Stop that!
I love it. Wow, my mind went somewhere else. Yeah. Next.
All right. Wanderlei Silva retires from MMA, and then the tagline on it is that he's passing the torch to his son, Thor Silva.
Oh, his son.
Yeah, that's his son, Thor.
Really?
It's a tough name to live up to. Thor. Like it.
His dad's name is a tough name to live up to also in the sport.
His dad's reputation is a tough reputation to live up to. Yeah. I look at it and it's like, I think we've known that Wanderlei is, was done with fighting for a while. He's talked about boxing and he might still do that. I hope he doesn't. He was never that kind of a technical striker as it was. He was a brawler, tough as hell, fun to watch, great guy. But I think it's awesome that, he's working with his son, and his son is part of, coming up. I think his son's, he's either a bantamweight or a featherweight. I'm not sure, but he's much smaller.
Huh?
Yeah, much smaller than, what his dad was, but
Mom must have been small.
Well, he's got a lot of growing to do. He's young. He's still a teenager, man.
No. All right. Well, I wish him the best in his retirement. I look at him and all the memories that I remember me and all my buddies, we'd all head over to a friend's house to watch him fight in Pride. He was must-watch TV. It was fantastic. So I wish him nothing but the best, man. Great guy. So fun to be around. I've done autograph signings with him, for the UFC and for Bellator. Fantastic. Great person. So wish him nothing but the best.
He's had some incredible, you go back to, do you remember the IVC? Because that's where people first saw Wanderlei, was the International Vale Tudo Championships from Brazil.
When he fought Pele, right?
No, Pele was his teammate, man.
Who did he fight?
He fought all kinds of guys, but he fought your guy. If you're thinking about it, he fought I can't think of his name all of a sudden. Wrestler, Van Arsdale.
Oh, he
fought Van Arsdale there.
He did?
Oh yeah, smoked him.
Isn't that where Chuck fought Pele?
Yes, Chuck fought Pele there.
That's what I was thinking. Okay,
yep.
So then Wanderlei,
they had the netting on the bottom of the bottom rope and everything. So you'd be like a tuna stuck in a net with a guy punching you. It's like
if you guys haven't seen the Chuck and Pele fight, you got to go back and watch that fight. Fucking insane! Great fight. Great
nasty fight.
Chuck looked like he was straight out of college.
But
young.
Let's go into a little history here, just a little bit.
Let's do it.
How did Wanderlei get that name, the Axe Murderer?
Oh shit, John! You're talking history. I wouldn't know. I probably wasn't born yet.
You might not have been.
Oh,
you might not have been. If you go back and you go all the way to near the beginning of his career, he ends up fighting Vitor Belfort. He fights him in the UFC. It's in Brazil, UFC in Brazil.
I remember that.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that Vitor did not want to fight Wanderlei. He absolutely everything that he could do trying to get away from that fight. Because Wanderlei was brought in, Vitor was supposed to fight Jerry Bolander from the Lion's Den. Jerry pulls out with a knee injury, and they bring Wanderlei in to fight Vitor Belfort. Vitor is, I'm not going to fight him, don't want to fight him. I'll fight Frank Shamrock, put John Lober, who was supposed to fight Frank Shamrock, put John Lober against, Wanderlei. I don't want to fight a Brazilian. He just didn't want to fight Wanderlei. He knew he knew what Wanderlei was. And John Peretti was the fucking matchmaker at the time, brand new with the UFC. And he's the one that said, he goes, of course he doesn't want to fight him. He's a fucking axe murderer. No one wants to fight an axe murderer. And that's how he got his name.
Really?
Swear to God.
I expected something way better than that, John.
Ah,
Sorry.
That's what it was.
I expected like a story where he kicked the axe
He went
handle and it broke
after
it.
someone with an axe.
Yeah, with an axe. I was expecting something. I don't know.
No.
But just crazy because Vitor knocked him out in what, like 19 seconds. It was a fast fight.
With big rush and boom.
But that's how fighters fight when they're scared.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
No,
Like if I was
a
fight podcast, Dave, that's how he'd fight me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to say anything about what happened before that fight, but it was Vitor was not wanting that fight. Let's just say
man, crazy. John with the history lesson. I love it. John,
I'll tell you the story
Peretti.
after we're off the air.
Oh, Peretti. John, you got to tell it. Come on. He just
Nope.
he didn't want to fight. Did he shit himself?
Dude, his whole team basically left him in the back. Man. It was bad.
Sucks. That sucks.
All right, let's move on
well,
before John
let's
says
move on.
something he regrets.
I'm not going to say anything. Trust me.
Ben Rothwell has booked a BKFC fight. I don't know who Bobo O'Bannon is.
Bobo O'Bannon. Now that's a name. Come on. It doesn't get better than Bobo O'Bannon. You're trying to figure out who that is. That ain't going to happen.
Wasn't there a promoter named O'Bannon? Wasn't there a promoter named O'Bannon?
There's the guy who was...
Maybe I'm thinking Paul Bunyan.
No, you're thinking of... There's that guy, Steve O'Bannon, who's fucking was with Trump or something like that.
Oh,
And
there
the
you
Democrats
go.
went after him.
Yeah. Steve Bannon, that guy.
Is it Bannon? It's not O'Bannon?
I think it's Bannon, yeah.
All right. I like Bobo O'Bannon. That's a great name.
He looks like he's on death's bed, like O'Bannon or Bannon, Steve Bannon. Every time you see him, he looks like he's been on a bender from the night before. He's all fucking cracked out. Hair's fucking hasn't been washed in like fucking 3 weeks. It's all oily and shit. You're like, dude, how do you get through life?
Everybody wanting information from him. He's just leave me alone.
Oh man, that's why Alex Jones cut his hair. He's bald. Fucking don't have to worry about doing his hair. Fucking Bannon. This guy, he's got oily skin, oily hair. He just looks like he straight up looks like a pedophile. He looks like a pedophile. Oh man,
you did not go there.
Oh man, he's weird.
All right. But Ben Rothwell fighting in bare knuckle boxing, just another MMA guy taking the step over there. It's I don't know.
Good.
Good luck to Ben. He's a big boy. He's got heavy hands. He can take a shot.
Good cardio.
Take a shot.
He's a zombie. He just keeps coming forward. Big shots. Zombie
He
keeps
keeps
coming
on
forward.
moving forward.
Yeah.
Trying to land a big old freaking hammer on you.
That's how I felt when you and I fought in the cage. It was like you just fell over and just crushed me underneath. So I had to like wiggle out from underneath and do some damage from the bottom. Bam,
Did you wiggle out?
Tony Ferguson.
Did you wiggle out?
Bam.
I don't remember that. So please,
Yeah.
did you wiggle out?
Your old age, memory's not what it used to be. I'm on a total troll phase right now. I'm just totally fucking with John.
I'm just letting it go. I'm having fun with it.
I love it.
All right.
Normally I'm picking on Dave. Today's John.
What's next, Dave?
All right. Let's move on. So did you guys see Chael Sonnen's rant where he basically said that Leon cheated a bunch of times in the Usman fight?
This is so great.
So
the greatest line ever is that Chael Sonnen, the guy who cheated more than anybody out there, man. He was always that guy. If there was a line to cross, he was standing on top of it, right? And he's going to talk about somebody else cheating. That's fucking great. I love him.
Chael, not only would he grapple the fence, he would do anything to win. He would tap and then say he didn't tap and let the fight restart. He was that guy. Like he was great, man. But honestly, John, I mean, he's right. Leon did cheat.
Oh, shut up.
Just kidding. I'm kidding. Look, accidents do happen. You grab the fence, you let go, you keep fighting, whatever it is. But it was poetry to my ears to hear Chael say, call somebody else a cheater. It was so great. I love me some Chael. But John, let's be real. He says things to get people to react.
He says things to get
amazing.
the click. He will say anything.
I love it.
He will say absolutely anything.
I'm going to become the Chael Sonnen of this show.
Oh,
I'm going
you already have for the entire thing, man. You're talking about
Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon. Oh man, this is great.
All right,
next.
Let's move on and we'll wrap up on this one before Josh gets too carried away. Josh, you may have to pull this up on your phone. I know you don't have a screen share today, but I wanted to show you guys Mark Zuckerberg training in MMA.
I saw it.
I do have it in your newsfeed, Josh, on your phone.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yep. So just wanted to get your reaction to with the tagline on the video, a $60 billion man training MMA. And did you guys see he was just on Joe Rogan as well?
Yeah. Yeah, where he admitted that he covered up stuff and he censored stuff because the FBI told him to. Yeah. Brilliant, buddy. Brilliant. Fucking guy.
I will say, look, I give him credit. He's training. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's not bad. I mean, people are going to expect him to be some professional. Look, he's in there. He's trying to throw combinations. He's throwing kicks. He's got some head movement. He goes for the single leg, runs the pipe. He's going for things here. I mean, hey, as the $60 billion man, he doesn't have to do a damn thing. All right. So I give him credit, man. You're working out. You're training. Good for you.
All right. I want to make sure this was all planned. So he's done all this stuff. He's been training a little bit, right? But
he could look like Stephen A. Smith. Punch the midget. Fucking hit the dick.
We're really going overboard today. This is great. This was all planned. He went on Rogan. Rogan's relationship with the MMA market. Then a day or 2 days, 3 days later, he releases this video. It was all planned. And all of this, he's doing all of this because he's doing, and when you listen to him on Rogan, he's got those new, what do they call, Dave?
Goggles, the Oculus.
The Oculus, or whatever goggles. Because he wants people to be able to wear those goggles and like act like you're really fighting and feel like you're really in there and that type of stuff. So you'll do it against other people in other countries, all this other stuff. So I enjoyed that part of the conversation of him and Rogan, because to think of where they're trying to go with all this is pretty spectacular. But let's be honest. I mean, he's a nerd. He's someone that is very isolated to himself because he is worth so much money. He doesn't probably have hardly any friends because he has so much money. So for him to be out there doing this and letting it be known, I got to tip my hat to him a little bit. I'm not a big Zuckerberg fan, never have been. But to be honest, it's kind of cool to see, John. It's hard. Look,
and at least he paid for his Ruka shorts. You didn't.
I don't. Ruka, no. But Ruka gives me a lot of stuff, and I love them for it. And love it. Pat Tenora, he's amazing, man, amazing guy. The guy who started Ruka. But with him, you have to understand, like Rogan. I've talked to Rogan about it too, and I've talked to some other people that are close with Joe. It's hard for guys that are not just celebrities, but are worth a lot of money, that type of stuff, for them to go to places and train and to be surrounded by people that don't want to hurt them, don't want to say like, oh yeah, I tapped Joe Rogan, or I know I knocked out, or I beat up Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, it's hard for them to find people that are they're willing to train them or willing to train with them, that are not out there trying to hurt them. Which is
look
really
at you and me in the cage. You're always trying to hurt me.
You fell on me like a fucking big ass oak tree. I called that oak tree and I said, "Hey, John's going to be climbing you later today. Just fall over on him, okay?" And that's exactly what happened. I need a little redemption. Do to him what he did to me. That's exactly what went down.
Okay.
Look, it's hard, it's difficult, and for him to make it public, for people like him, there's a lot of ego involved. And for him to go ahead and put that out, Like, some people have no shame, like Stephen A. Smith. I'm like, what are you doing? Don't put that video out. At least with Zuckerberg, there was some good content there. There's some good stuff. I know a lot of it was staged. A lot of it was, but he did some good stuff. He looked like he actually had some training.
He at least had trained. You could see that he's at least working at it.
Exactly. Whereas Stephen A. looked like his trainer, I'm surprised allowed him to put that video out.
And again, I kind of blame the trainer. What are you doing?
Don't post that.
Are you a fake? Because no one would teach someone to throw the combination that he's throwing.
Yep. Dick. I looked at it as dick punch uppercut. It was it was punch the baby uppercut. It was so funny.
Punch the baby.
All right, Dave. Is there anything else?
No, we're gonna wrap up on that one.
All right. Well, this has been a fun show. Even though I'm here, it was 4 a.m. when we started. And great, man. The sun is just coming up. That's why there's a little more light on my face right now. Because the sun, I'm here in front of the windows, and the sun is actually just starting to come up. I'm going to go downstairs, have some coffee, sit out on the back porch next to the fire, and watch the sun come up over the mountains, man.
There you go.
This is what we do around here. See, look, I am dedicated. I am dedicated to this podcast. So if you guys that question me, don't ever question me again, you fuckers. I love you guys.
And if you do question him, be sure that he'll be in the comments to answer you.
Yes, I will. I will be there. Great show, John. Great fights yesterday. Ciryl Gane, Tuivasa. Great job. Both fighters. Tip my hat to you guys. And all you other fighters, spectacular performances. Very, very, very glad that we do this show because we get to talk and relive it again. And it's awesome, man. I'm happy for those young guys that were actually able to have great performances. And go to WeighingInPodcast.com, pick up some of our merch. It's available there. And John, take us away.
For everyone out there, thanks for tuning in. Even though the punk is sitting there on vacation, ready to get his coffee and watch the sunrise. If you are doing anything, have fun with your family. Enjoy, and we will see you.